Hello and welcome to another episode of our Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions podcast, coming to you from Concho, America. I'm Darren Brown, and today we're talking about the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes prevention programs. There are several of them here. We have four lovely people here today. Thank you all for being here. Give yourselves a hand. All right. Everything all good? All right. So when we talk about prevention programs, that includes a whole lot of things. I mean, mental, emotional, social, physical. And before we get started, I'd like to start with Katie down at the end here. Well, if you start here, we'll introduce ourselves this way.
Okay. My name is Katie Sullivan. I am the Prevention Programs Director.
My name is Christina Sharp, and I'm the Health Education Coordinator.
My name is Terry Lindsay. I'm the Outreach Specialist for Tradition Not Addiction.
How about my name's Kendrick Sweezy. I'm with the Empower program. I'm the coordinator.
Okay, and we have one more person who could make it, right?
Yes. Zachary Blackout. He's the Prevention Programs Director's Assistant.
Zach is busy these days, I know.
He is. He does such a great
He's
job.
in high demand. Well, Katie, since you're the director, let me throw the first question out to you. We just said a lot of stuff there, and there's a lot of, I know everyone's got their own kind of probably things they do in front of them they concentrate on, but I'm sure there's a lot of crossover as well. So could you, as a director, give us an overview of our prevention programs here at the tribes?
Yeah, so of course we're compiled of several programs, and the ultimate goal is to raise awareness, provide education over mental health, taking care of yourself, tobacco usage, underage drinking, substance abuse, and a lot.
There's a lot of, and I guess so. There's a lot of community, a ton of community outreach here.
Yes.
Right. So I guess you work with schools and around the area.
Yeah. So we are in about 15 schools, 3 colleges. Those schools range from middle school, junior high, and high school. They range from Clinton to Weatherford, Canton, Hammond, El Reno, Watonga, Gary. Help me out if I miss a few. Thomas, Sealing.
They keep on going and going.
Yeah. And 3 of the colleges are Redlands, SWOSU, and we work with Haskell.
I hadn't even thought about that. Oh yeah, thank you for throwing that out. Because when we talk about prevention needs, man, there's no certain age. I mean, it from the cradle on up. You know what I'm saying? So well, Christina, you want to jump in here and share what your program does?
Yeah, so I recently took over health education, and a lot of what I'm doing right now is just trying to find community needs and where a lot of health disparities are. So we met with IHS Clinton Service Unit and looked at their goals.
I would assume everybody here knows what IHS is, but in case you didn't.
It's Indian Health Services.
Hey, there we go. Okay.
So they have 3 offices in Watonga, El Reno, and Clinton. So I met with them and looked at their goals and saw where their discrepancies are in patients that are getting care and what they're getting care for. So we're working with them to try to increase patients coming in or continuing their care. And also with the 988 funding ending, the 988 crisis response system did not end. We just rolled it into health education because
I'm glad you brought that up, because I came across an email like that just not long ago, and I thought, to myself, it probably doesn't mean that it's ending,
right? Because
if you have a program that's doing some good and is measurable, then the last thing you'd want to do is end it.
Right. So just the grant funding ended. So it's not its own program anymore. It's just rolled into all of prevention. And TOR is also helping with some of this
TOR
stuff.
is?
As the Tribal Opioid Project, because they changed
that from response. It was, wait a minute. Okay, it was Tribal Opioid Response.
Yes.
Project.
So now I think it's maybe Tribal Overdose
Project.
Yes, I'm not sure. That would be a Darien.
Let's ask Terry real quick.
Yeah.
Oh no, do you know what that is?
Yes.
What they changed it to?
Yeah, they did change it to the Tribal Opioid Overdose Project.
Okay.
So,
well, we're getting somewhere.
And all these acronyms. So I'm just out here trying to find where the community needs are. And one of the things that health education has been doing a lot is the Moses Star Award that is usually given at the Elders Convention in November. So instead of doing one nomination, we're going to start those nominations now and just compile all of them because we've noticed that there's a lack of people nominating elders. So we're going to get out to the communities. We're going to work with other programs and try to get more awareness out to everybody.
All right. Terry said that he can't wait. He wants to talk about his program too.
Yes, my name is Terry Lindsay. Like I said earlier, I am with Tradition Not Addiction, but we are under Partnership for Success, which is under Department of Health. What we do is we work with youth in our service area. Our grant is ages 14 to 24. And like Katie said earlier, we work with junior high school kids. We also go with some of the JOM programs. So we have some of the younger kids in that, but they are very well behaved kids. I enjoy working with these kids. I get to see a lot of them grow because some of them come in as junior high kids to my classes, outreach classes, and then I get to work with them throughout the years. And it's kind of sad when they become seniors and leave, but there's always the next group coming in, and there's a big desire there. It's just kind of they're all just willing to participate. Like I said, they're active. They want to be there, and I appreciate them coming because, like I tell the kids, y'all being good like this, it makes my job a whole lot easier.
Oh, you can say that again.
So,
no, we've done a lot of outreach as well, and we get to work with. What I find odd is that we don't work with kids like yours, from junior high on. We see kids, and then we may see them a year later. And I don't recognize them because they're a foot taller,
yeah.
Or between 14 and 16, kids change, and you wouldn't even recognize them. So I'm like, oh, I still expect some short freckle-faced kid, and it's like, oh, didn't expect to see an adult.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, now then it's your turn, sir. What we got? Tell us about Empower.
Well, my name's Kendrick Sweezy. I'm the coordinator for Empower program, which the acronym is Making Policy Over Wellness Equity Reality, which is
I'm glad you brought that up.
state-funded grant through the Oklahoma State Department of Health. And so our main objective is to cover commercial tobacco, and there's 4 different sections towards that grant objectives that we got to cover. So the first one would be your smoking tobacco, and everybody knows all the smoking tobacco: cigarettes, cigars, pipes, hookahs. Smokeless tobacco is any of your chew, any of your dips, your snuff. And then the third one, which is up and coming, is vaping or e-cigarette devices. And so we focus on those 3 items: prevention, cessation, and then just the overall health care effects of using those products. And the 4th portion that we cover on is sacred tobacco. And we try to distinguish the difference between sacred tobacco use and also commercial tobacco use, because there's kids and adults that come up to me asking me, what's the difference, or is there a difference between the two? And the analogy that I usually use is whenever you have communion in a Catholic church, that they use alcohol as the blood of Christ. And so they are using it, but they're using it as a sacrament. They're not using it to have a big party and everybody's partying all night long like it's New Year's Eve or something. So sacred tobacco is the same thing. We use those sacred herbs, plants in our ceremonies, but we're not going overboard.
Understood. And that's something when you brought up to me, or I said, I'm so glad that that's a part of it, because I think I've heard people, ask that before, and I just I never really thought about it. I mean, I kind of assumed the same thing that you would just said, but I never really, and I think a lot of us had never really thought about it that much. And since Zach isn't here, can you talk a little bit about his program?
Well, he helps me oversee all of the prevention programs.
Okay, his title is, what was his title again?
Director's assistant.
Thank you. Yeah. He's I know Zach is well, let's just start with, he talks extensively about mental health, and I know we've all hit on that here. And the truth is, I guess mental health, let's talk about it as a person. That's just, when I pray for healing mentally and physically and emotionally and financially, and and I probably left 3 or 4 out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it takes all. We're all made up of. At any time we could be hurting in one area.
Yeah.
Any of us could be hurting
and
in 2 or 3 areas.
You really got to take into consideration that mental health is, I feel like it's a huge umbrella, and it affects It could affect work. I mean, if you maybe didn't get a job that you wanted, it can affect that. Kids can, have a toll on your mental health.
That
And
works
really,
both ways.
yo, for sure.
I mean,
And really, like,
adults can affect kids and kids affect adults.
yeah.
Man.
And so, like, when we talk about mental health, we also talk about risk factors, protective factors, understanding your mental health, identifying how to reach out to a trusted adult, especially when kids are going through a hard time. And so, I mean, there's so many topics that we talk in within the schools. And I wish we actually brought the surveys from last year because, one, we are doing better than the state of Oklahoma. And we are doing so much better than when we first started. For example, a lot of the kids within the schools did not know how to seek out a trusted adult or how to approach an adult on what they were going through. And so we tailored each school by how they tested. And so let's say, for example, 3 schools tested high and they needed more education on mental health, suicide prevention, depression and anxiety, panic attacks. Another school, a couple of them tested high in underage drinking, marijuana usage, substance abuse usage. And we showed a decrease in the areas that we needed to decrease, and we showed a significantly higher increase in areas that we needed to be
That's
higher
fantastic.
on. And so now kids are more comfortable with talking about the things they're going through, seeking out, their counselors or even seeing a therapist. We're trying to reduce the stigma around seeing a therapist.
Yes, yeah.
And seeking out a counselor because, I had to see one when I was playing college basketball. I was attending full-time in college and then also playing basketball full-time. And I had to see a therapist because it was too much on me. And currently, or last year, I stopped drinking completely and started seeing a therapist. Not last year, the year before. And had
Yeah,
to.
don't sell yourself short though.
This month will be a year and a half.
Well, all right.
But
Congratulations.
yeah, so we try to reduce the stigma on that and even try to get adults to, get help, whether that's traditional healing, bringing in our culture advisors that we utilize with the prevention programs. We have a number of Cheyenne advisors and a number of Arapaho advisors.
Man, when we talk about, you talking about stigma with mental health, and no one wants to come out and say, I have issues with my mental health, but I think deep down, everyone knows something's not right.
Yeah.
Here or there. And it doesn't have to be, I think when we just talk about mental health issues, we're not necessarily talking about something chronic. I mean, I tell you, I'll tell you, it's tough being an adult. Somebody said, what was your favorite part of being a kid? I said, not paying bills. Hey, it just gets everything. We're all ages here. That's what's cool. You guys are much younger than you probably. Well, I don't know. He got some grade too. Yeah, so but I just think as that's where I struggle sometimes. It's like, man, there's constant pressure. But the thing is that hits you at any age. Mm-hmm. And I think one thing I have learned as an adult is everything is temporary, And I just wonder how you get kids at these young ages to open up. I mean, that's got to take some time, right?
Consistency, staying in the schools, consistency, providing outreaches and community events within the, different towns. Like Canton and Hammond was not getting a lot of attention. So that's why we had to, be consistent in those communities. Another awesome thing was Dylan Fox is now the executive director's assistant for Department of Health. And we were seeking out a Hope Squad program. And
you got to tell me what that is.
So Hope Squad, I can't remember the exact acronym.
Oh no!
But it's a
we'll let her slide this time, right?
Yes. Thank you. It's a suicide prevention program initially, and actually my dad was the first one within the state of Oklahoma to bring one to Anadarko Public Schools. When they had about 3 suicides back to back to back.
I think I remember
and
that.
So I had the honor of being an advisor in that Hope Squad. And we basically, it's a program, suicide prevention program. The founder, CEO, his name is Dr. Greg Hudnall out of Utah. And there's over 2,000 active programs within across the nation and over 46 programs within the state of Oklahoma. And so right now Dylan had wrote for the small grant of funding through Integris, and we were funded. So Hammond High School has a Hope Squad. Christina is an advisor. Zach is an advisor. And so what they do is they go within the schools, and basically the students that are picked by their peers are the eyes and ears for the school administration and teachers. Because, when we go into school, we have teachers who don't see everything at all. But students, they're trained to identify different things that a student may be going through: suicidal ideation, signs of depression, signs of anxiety, and they're able to tell a trusted adult about the student, and also, if get the parents involved. So.
Well, we're to the point now when I'm just going to throw questions out, and anyone who wants to jump in, because I know Katie, man. Katie's got it down.
Yes.
Well, I know that if Zach, I said earlier, if Zach were here, I could ask one question and we'd fill the whole podcast.
Exactly. Zach is.
We wouldn't have to say a word.
Zach's amazing.
He is.
He's so good at what he does.
He is.
I wish he could be here, but.
I know we said it. See? Oh, well, you do what you got to. We'll struggle along. We'll scratch and claw our way across it. Christina, when we were talking right before we started, you said, I asked you something about, what do you mean by, what do you say? How did we start? You said,
What is health education?
yes. And we that's where we started. And 10 minutes later, we were still, we're kind of like what I said, there's physical, emotional, spiritual, and on and on and on.
Yeah. I mean, there's community health.
How do you even know where to focus?
And so similar to what Katie and the rest of prevention did with surveys this last year. So we're going to be working with Diabetes Wellness. They also got a grant through Southern Plains Tribal Health Board to look at community health data. So we're going to be partnering not only with Diabetes Wellness, but other Department of Health to see where are the community needs at. I feel like when COVID happened, we were so consumed with COVID and everything else that a lot of the other health things kind of went by the wayside. So we're trying to make sure that people are still educating themselves on things like that, like cancer screenings is a big one. Diabetes, of course. We have a lot of amputees because they're not getting wound care or not going to the routine visits. We're going to be increasing a lot of community visits and things like that. So the great thing about health education is we can pretty much educate on everything. The scary part is that there's so many things to educate on, and there's so many needs out there. So through the next couple of months, just looking at specific community needs, like what is Hammond may need something different than Sealing, may need something different than Fonda or Thomas. So trying to really locate those needs and make sure that we're getting the right people to the right places.
Terry, you mentioned working with kids and to the point where you knew them well, and it's sad to see them as they graduate and move on through. So when you work with kids, closely like you do, what do you hear? I mean, do you hear what their problems are, what they're dealing with?
Yes, we do. Sometimes they do it jokingly.
Yeah,
so
I can see that.
You kind of got to listen with the open ear.
Yeah,
because
and like I said, it's consistency. You got to be there to pick out. You get a good feel for when they are joking.
I do want to say the kids call Terry Uncle now because he's so great with the students and the schools that they're in.
As long as there's not a deadly in front of it. Hey.
That's the plus side of it, I guess, is I get to build that rapport with them.
Yeah.
And like Katie said, whether I'm at with the school, I go to the schools a lot, but when we do community outreaches, they'll come up and say, hey, I was in your class, or hey, and like I said, we was at Canton doing a outreach for a basketball game. We was doing a tailgate, and one of the girls come up and say, hey, Uncle, how you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm doing good. How you, stuff like that. But I like that, and I guess the plus with prevention having several different departments is we go out the outreaches together and we kind of learn what they learn also. So we get to multitask. So, we go back to talking about mental health, and talking about age, back when I was younger, if you talked about mental health, first thing that come to your mind is you're crazy.
Yeah.
So we get the opportunity now to distinguish between that and tell the kids that it's okay to talk about mental health. But if I was to talk about mental health back when I was a youth, you would think of maybe Norman,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
the mental hospital,
I know what you're saying.
so, but, that's a plus I like about being in prevention is that, we have the opportunity to talk to the youth, to help them, come out of their shell. Because you'll see a lot of them that are really outgoing. You got your basketball stars, you got maybe your athletes, you got your, maybe the drama, the musicians, so you can tell that the different schools who is what, because they kind of gravitate. They have a group, they'll gravitate to that one person, So I kind of watch that as I see when the kids come in, and you'll have those ones that are maybe like the freshmen that kind of sit at the table by themselves. So I always try to make sure to acknowledge them, the younger ones and the ones that don't get a lot of attention. So I try to, get them involved. Because once you start getting them involved, they start opening. It's like a book.
Yeah.
Once you
it's
open the
amazing
book,
how that happens.
then they just, then you can't get them to be quiet sometimes,
Huh.
But, I always try to make sure to acknowledge everybody when they come in. Hello, how y'all
Yeah.
doing? How's your weekend? Stuff like that. So I think once you acknowledge them and let them feel like they're important, I feel like I always need to try to make them feel like they're important because they are. They're our future.
Man,
So,
that's true. I was like I said earlier. We don't work with kids, the same group of kids consistently, but we over the, with the stuff we do, and sometimes we get to go to like at Indian Youth Career Day and present at different workshops and stuff like that. We get to spend time with junior high up and up kids, and I told someone one time, it just hit me. I said, man, I was talking to someone else in another department. I said, you really have to be careful what you say to some of these kids. I said, because that could be the thing, the positive thing you share with them could be the only positive thing they've heard all day or all week. And it's just, when you think about it that way, there's a lot more responsibility on each and every conversation that you do have with them. Kendrick, we were, talking about tobacco. Like I was saying, when I was in high school, everybody carried a can of Skull, or in Copenhagen. I tried it once, and I'll admit I got a buzz, but I was like, this is nasty, man. Because we were going to visit a girl, and I was like, I cannot get rid of all this. We got to stop and get some drink, man. I had to rinse about 5 times, It's, but I was like, that's not worth the trouble. And cigarettes, I tried. It's like I will admit I felt cool when I did it. There's something about this. And then if you have an argument, you can just say, well, but it's cool for acting, But who's acting? But no, I couldn't. It's not my thing, But I read either I saw it on TV or I read it somewhere where and I could be wrong, maybe, but I thought I read some study where a lot of tobacco usage was down. Is that right? Or have you seen or read anything like that?
Well, with cigarette smoking itself, it's on a decline, but a lot of people are switching from
Picking up vapes.
going from cigarettes to vaping. And an analogy that I usually use for people that don't know the difference between vaping and e-cigarettes or regular smoking cigarettes is it's like alcohol. Like he equate cigarettes to beer. Everybody knows how strong beer is, and then everybody knows how strong liquor is. And so a lot of people are saying, well, I'm only switching to vape so I can quit cigarettes. And I usually ask the question, well, would you take shots of liquor to quit beer? And they're like, no, that's kind of
I don't drink a 6-pack every day, but I have about 15 shots. I see what you're saying. I don't think kids understand that. Yeah, okay, there's no smoke involved. That's great, but you're still getting all that nicotine and all the other crap. That's all, and there's probably less of a filter involved.
Well, the thing with vaping, it makes it more convenient for kids and youth to actually smoke or to vape than it is a regular cigarette. So.
Yeah, because they don't have to go. Yeah,
and that's the other issue that the schools are running into is there's a lot of kids a lot of companies are marketing towards
directly
kids,
to kids,
and they're making their vaping devices that look like USB, look like a highlighter, look like different types of normal everyday items. But on top of that, they're also marketing where they're putting games
on
their vaping devices. One of them, I think, had like a Pac-Man game. Another one, you attach the vaping device onto your phone. And so, and then the latest,
And they're all flavored anyway.
yeah, they're all flavored. And so the other thing about the vaping devices too that the companies are marketing to the youth is everything that a smartwatch can do, a lot of vaping devices are able to do that. And so they're hooking these young generation, like who uses a smartwatch? It's not my folks. It's not my grandparents.
Yeah.
It's all my nephews
It's
and
it's
nieces.
the 5-year-olds,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, just even their advertisement and the products that they offer for vaping and e-cigarettes, it's not geared towards.
Yeah, all my little nieces and nephews were asking for phones for Christmas. I'm like, what? You're 6. Well, that it ain't happening. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, so what do you guys? The thing is, I think that's got to be the way I see it is, I think the campaign against smoking in general has been around for a long time, but now we get so you guys are. You got a tough battle anyway, because it's something cigarettes is something that's not going away. They're ingrained in a lot of society, but the vaping is a whole new animal, and you got to figure out ways to attack that, I suppose.
Yeah, the biggest thing that we have is the education part, because it's just like even when you see somebody vaping, what they exhale is not smoke. It's not water vapor. That is all chemical.
Oh,
And
that
so,
hurts thinking about it, man.
like one of my classes I asked at the schools was like, hey, which one of you kids, when's the last time you guys stuck your mouth on a tailpipe? And they were like, tailpipe? For what? I was like, because that same chemical, carbon monoxide, is in the same thing in your vaping device.
I think people do think it's water,
That's
like
the
it's
miseducation.
It's like a mist or something.
Yeah,
I think that's what they think.
That's a big misconception about vaping devices, that it's water vapor.
Mm-hmm.
And same way with the chemicals inside the vaping devices, it's really dependent upon what the company decides to put in it. It's not regulated. It's not. So whatever the company wants to put in there, it's in there.
Yeah.
And so a lot of same chemicals that you find in tobacco smoke, there's about over 70 different carcinogenic chemicals
You got it out, man.
in cigarette smoke that it's also found in vaping devices.
That's 5 syllables, brother. Carcinogenic.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I know that's a tough battle. And matter of fact, I know that everyone here is, you're fighting those tough battles. But I'm so glad to see that you're in the schools. And talk about the colleges, because that's let's see, it's not a different ball game, but it's totally an advanced game, right?
Yeah. So
You're dealing with probably kids who have a better understanding, but you're also dealing with somebody who's had 4 or 5 years to be more set in their ways.
Yeah. So we thought it was important to get into colleges. One, specifically working with tribal students, tribal members of the Cheyenne and Arapaho, and we welcome everyone. And when I was in college, I went through a lot of mental health issues, just within myself, and being in college was overwhelming, especially being a full-time student athlete is overwhelming. We really take into consideration and the fact that us as Native Americans, we come from big families. We're so family oriented, and going away from our families, whether it's out of state, 2 hours away, 3 hours away, it can take a toll. And us meeting their needs, we approach it in the way how we can serve you. What do you need from us? And so we work with the JOM. Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, the Indian clubs within the colleges. Like for SWASU, we work with our Indian club. With Redlands, we work with Redlands students all across the boards. With Haskell, we're actually going to Haskell on the 29th to have our quarterly meeting with the Cheyenne and Arapaho council there.
That's what I was going to ask. So yeah, they're like, 5 hours away?
Yes.
Basically. That's a tough one.
It is.
Too bad you can't teleport there.
No, I wish we could.
Or have some kind of high-speed train. I know, but there's no easy way. It's just 5 hours. You can't get around it. Maybe 4.5. I don't know. So, but how does that work? Tell me what goes on. There's because I know we have probably nearly 40
35
kids up there?
students.
That's
30
a good.
yeah.
That's a good group.
So back in September, we did go with the executive office when they had the butchering
the
of the
buffalo,
buffalo. Yeah, we hosted
harvest.
that mental health panel, and we really try to focus on, mental health, of course, taking care of yourself. And Dylan Fox, Zach, and I were on that panel. And we invited Jasmine Johnson, who's now getting her master's
Yeah,
at
she just
KU.
graduated.
Yeah,
high
she
school
graduated
not
from
long
high
ago.
school, going to KU to get her master's. And so we want to really utilize Cheyenne and Arapaho students within what we're trying to do, especially also within our events that we do. We try to pick out and invite Cheyenne and Arapaho elders, tribal members who can teach the different ways of the Cheyenne and Arapaho cultures and traditions. And I mean, we invite anyone who can come. And so Terry can kind of hit on what they've done with SWASU, and I believe Christina can too. But they've invited us to different outreach events, and we go and set up booths. We also have had. I'm kind of going off the top of my head. We've had we partnered with their Indian club and brought in Christian to speak there. I don't know if it was last year or the year before.
And you're referring to Christian
Wasani.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry. And he highlighted, the things that he's been through and told his story. But yeah.
Well, just kind of add on to what Katie was talking about and kind of piggyback off earlier whenever you were asking about having the youth to buy into these messages that we're trying to convey. Another part, as far as me personally, I'm involved with a lot of our cultural events or cultural ceremonies. And that's the other thing, too, whenever we go to these schools, they actually recognize me from dances to Native American church meetings, sweats, Sundance. And it gives these kids an idea that, hey, you can be culturally involved. That guy's like me, or he looks like me, or he goes to these things. I've seen him before. And whenever we go to our events, whether it be outreach events or classes or even to these colleges, that's another message I convey, not only about commercial tobacco and mental health, it's also the cultural part of it. Like, it's okay to be indigenous. It's okay to be Cheyenne. It's okay to be Arapaho. It's okay to be whatever tribe that you're from.
I needed you to say that.
Yeah. And it's also
I'm a
okay.
little Pueblo dude sitting over here, man.
I'm a
I need some
Navajo.
love.
And so, yeah, and we've come across some tribes from the Southwest, Southeast, and so we don't want to exclude them, but at the same time, we don't want to exclude people that are
I hear
non-native
you.
too. And
Yeah.
just like I tell my own sons, you guys are very important. You guys are the future of our tribes, and we're going to invest a lot into you because you are worth something. You have a place amongst our tribes or societies, and you're our future leaders, our future warriors, future chiefs.
Yeah.
You guys are very important. I want you guys to also understand that you guys are of high value, and sometimes I know even my own relatives, some relatives don't. My own relatives, some of them don't hear that from at home,
Man.
so I
Man,
try
getting me in the
to
feels now.
trying to encourage them, to have them be a good role model for them. Graduated from OU, graduated from Gary, graduated from Redlands, and so to me, I'm just a little Indian boy from Gary, Oklahoma, but same time, I want them to understand, like, hey, if he made it that far and he works for the tribes and he's doing this, like, I can do that too.
Yeah,
So,
thank you so much for bringing that up. For keeping us grounded here in with cultural and traditional values. It's like so what we know is, like, even within a certain tribe, not everyone is raised with parents and or grandparents who speak any language, and maybe they do, but maybe they were raised partly traditional, maybe not traditional at all, but just because, and we may all kind of be the same color, but we got totally different backgrounds, and all tribes are working here, and at this tribe, and so I thank you for bringing that up, because that's something I was talking about with someone here recently. It's like people think think mental health wellness is a new thing, and I'm like, no, it's just that now that people are not afraid to bring it up and talk about it, I mean, and promote it and shout it from the rooftops, and as Native people, I mean, maybe I'm sure that, like, 200-300 years ago they didn't call it mental health, but there was probably some term to describe something like that, and I think it was known among everyone that if you don't have this, then you are not, you're unbalanced. I mean, that's what I would call it. We all have, through the course of a day, a week, and month, a year, we have an imbalance, and I think that is the struggle to keep those things in balance. And God, with every passing year, I'm sure it gets tougher and tougher. What is the real quickly, if I can, so I don't care which way. Let's start here with you. What do you want kids to know?
I want them to know that they are very valuable and that they have a place in our tribes. And I know mainstream society, it's kind of a dog eat dog world, and it's an I society. With our traditional ways, it's a us, it's a we, and that's the other part too. Is everybody has a place and everybody has a role, and nobody is useless. And so, message that I want them to have is they have a place with us, and for them not to feel alone.
That's kind of what I like to talk to them about. I let them know that they're important, and that they are our future, because they are. And also too, Katie always encourages us to partner with other departments. So what we've been partnering with is the language department. So when we go into some of the schools, we bring in the Cheyenne department and we bring in the Arapaho department. And it's good to see the kids because, I mean, they really get involved, when Regina really gets them going and Jacinda really gets them going. They get involved. Jacinda kind of used it like a game. She says, well, this morning, the kid, we had the, Arapaho kids, they could say 6 words. So she was doing the Cheyenne. Man, them kids started out, not saying the words, naming off words. But then she also threatened them with their grandpa, Irvin. So, I know your grandpa, so y'all don't start. I know y'all know these words, so y'all better start talking. And boy, they really started talking, So we, being, I feel like that being the culture part, like you said, we've got to encourage them because a lot of kids don't know, the culture, I'm Muskogee Creek. I grew up attending, the Creek churches. It was all Creek language. But as our elders pass away, and that's one thing too, I encourage them, visit with your elders, talk to your elders, because what they know isn't in a book. And when these elders pass away, that's y'all's losing a part. We're losing a part of our heritage, our history. So that's the only way we're going to continue to pass that on is talking to them and learning it. And if we don't, then pretty soon it's going to be, nobody's going to know about our history, because like I said, it's not in the book. You can go to colleges and stuff, and you're not going to learn that. What the elders have to tell us. So I just like to encourage them and just, pretty much just tell them that, you can be what you want to be. Just, go for whatever you want to be. You can be whatever you want to be. So don't let nobody hold you back.
And Christine, I know I said kids, but we're talking people of all ages.
So before taking over health education, I was going into the schools. I still am going into the schools. And a lot of the lessons I do is like how to feel your emotions, how to talk about your emotions, that feeling in your stomach is not okay. So what is that? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it hopelessness? And then, like, it's okay to break cycles. It's okay to be the person in your family that does something different, that steps out of your comfort zone, that removes yourself and says that's not what I want. I want better for me. I want better for my community. I want better for my family and future generations. But somebody has to start.
Katie, you get the last word.
What was your question again? I'm thinking of everything.
What do you want? There's so many great things that you guys do,
Mm-hmm.
but what is the overarching?
What do I want them to know?
Yeah, the thing that you want them to know.
That they are loved.
And you got to receive it. Tell them they have to receive it.
Yeah.
Some people
I
have a
told
hard time
myself
with
I
that.
wasn't going to get emotional.
Oh, no, I've been there the whole time. I don't know if you saw that tear pop up, but I tried to hide it. But no, you have to be willing to receive love.
Yeah. One, you are loved. You have a purpose, and it takes one person to plant a seed in someone. And so, I love like the purpose of this job. I love what we do for the communities. A lot of people don't know, but like I serve. I have a passion of serving people, and just as if I were working for the Navajo Nation, I serve the Cheyenne and Arapaho peoples the same. And so I really want to praise the prevention program staff. I mean, we have Mona. I'm going to name them all. We have Vida, Mona, Terry, Justin Klein-Cole. We have Melinda Sutton, Kendrick Sweezy, Brittany Pratt, Christina, Zach Black Owl. Did I miss one? We have 10 total.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
And you.
and me. They each have such an individual gift, and they each also have that passion and drive. And I really don't believe that we would be where we are without them.
No, that's true.
And I mean, watching them work with the students and the things that we go over in our prevention meetings and what our goals.
Right there. Yeah,
and our goals and what we want to see, like every single one of them, they bring ideas to the table, and it's not just me, it's them. And I always tell them, like, thank you so much for being the individuals you are. Thank you for the work you do, the passion and the drive that you all hold within yourselves, because it doesn't go unnoticed, and they are making a difference. I mean, last year, whenever we were going over the post surveys that we had, it was emotional because just to see the feedback that we were getting from the kids. And I mean, we had a letter from the principal at Hammond High School where their Cheyenne and Arapaho students and Native American student body were not really participating in extracurricular activities. Were not doing, their attendance was low. And he sent a letter, and we actually posted it on the Cheyenne and Arapaho Tradition Not Addiction page, which is now Cheyenne and Arapaho Prevention Programs, highlighting that they're seeing such a huge increase from the Native American population within their schools. Their attendance increased, their grades are going up. And so the work that they do, amazing.
You're doing something right.
They are.
Well, now that we've all had a good long, I don't know where to go next. No, I thank you all sincerely for being here. And I guess this is not an easy thing to talk about. And just like Katie was saying, it's like it'll hit you in the feels without. Hey, I've noticed that as I get older, that stuff happens more and more when I talk about my kids or whatever, you know.
Let me
let you go. Don't we're not. We got to catch everything here.
So one of the things too that whenever we work with all these different communities, it's the community response. I've gone to ceremonies and stuff where they've mentioned individual programs or individual people that they got a good message from. And so that's also at our dances too. So like our Weatherford JOM, they had a powwow back in November, and they had Terry be on head staff for them for the honored educator.
Yes.
And so that was their token to recognize Terry for all his hard work and his involvement with this Weatherford Public Schools. And so there's different stuff like that happens that, you know, it makes us feel proud.
Yeah, I mean, if no one has said it, I'm sure they have. You guys are doing a great job. I mean, I'm not with you, and I'm not watching you, but I know what's going on, you know, because I see things and I hear things, baby. You know, no, I'm like Santa Claus, right? No, I know, I know when you've been bad or good, and you guys are good all the time, most of the time at least. So I just want to thank you all for coming here and talking about these programs and the good things you're doing. And if someone wants to, if someone has, let's say, I don't know, from a school or an individual needs, they want something like this in their school, what do they do?
They could reach out to any of us.
I mean, they'd contact you at the health department or just the health department in general? Just call our general number.
Yeah, usually when I've had a couple people contact the main admin building, and then they send them right over to us.
Somehow they'll get to you.
It'll get to us, and then we want to reach everyone, as many people as we can. So we're all for it. We're ready to serve you and provide whatever we can for you and meet your needs. So
Thank you all so much for being here. And thank you for joining us on the Cheyenne and Arapaho. Cheyenne, I can't even say it now. I'm a mess now. Thank you for joining on this Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.